And we're back, moving into our final segment for today. We have with us on set Lorraine Hendry Meyer, who is a Rhythm of Change Ambassador.
Yes, I am.
And we are talking about a special workshop that you'll be having. Good morning, Lorraine.
Good morning. And may I say, it's lovely to see you again.
Yes,
I don't know if you remember, but I was here about
course.
5 years ago or so.
And yeah, we did the story about the integrative breathwork as
Yes,
well.
exactly.
And talking about how helpful it is. So you're back.
I am. In fact, this is my 5th or 6th trip.
Wow.
To Belize. So
Yeah.
Belize has become a second home for me, or at least a second working home, and I love it. Not that I'm working, but that I'm here to raise funds
Yes.
for ROC and the Rhythm of Change.
Yeah.
So, it does give me an opportunity to do what I do.
Let's just take a little moment to talk about Rhythm of Change and why you chose to be involved in that.
Thank you. So, well, first of all, I'll share with you that my youngest daughter back in the United States in North Carolina works for Family Services. Mm-hmm. So she deals with children and families in crisis. Mm-hmm. And so because of her work, it's been very close to my heart. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of what ROC does, is not necessarily directly work with people in crisis, but they work with introducing to Belize mm-hmm. Different ways of dealing with struggle, frustration, stress, and so forth. They introduce them to yoga, to meditation, and to other techniques that bring peace and calm not only to our own internal environment, but to the family environment.
And so your area or your specialty, it's twofold. One, you talk about integrative breath work. It's a special way of breathing that is supposed to be helpful, right?
Yes, that's true.
And also Reiki.
Yes.
But let's talk about the breath work first, because, you know, I think more and more science has been able to prove about the benefits of breathing practices and mindfulness and meditation. And so it really is becoming a lot more mainstream.
Absolutely.
Talk to me about your own involvement and how you discovered it prior to the scientists proclaiming it.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure that I discovered it prior to the scientists, because the scientists have been way ahead of me for a long time. In fact, it started in the 1960s or 70s with a doctor named Stanislav Grof, and he was doing experiments in how to help people let go of addictive patterns. Mm-hmm. And what he found through his experiments was that when he could get people into a stream of consciousness where they were able to connect to whatever it was that had caused them to go into an addictive pattern, they would begin to hyperventilate. Mm-hmm. And when they began to hyperventilate, he would always have them down on the floor so nobody was going to faint or anything. Mm-hmm. But when they began to hyperventilate, they began to change their, he could see that they were experiencing something. Mm-hmm. When they stopped hyperventilating, he didn't give them the paper bag to put over their face. He allowed them to hyperventilate through whatever they were experiencing. Mm-hmm. When they stopped hyperventilating, their bodies and their minds were completely calm. And they were able to rationally discuss what it was that had brought them to this addictive point. And oftentimes they were able to let it go. So it is used as a therapy still in rehabilitation places. I can't think of the word that I want. All over the United States. Yeah. It's not always called integrative breathwork. It has many names.
Yeah. Now, what is the science behind it? Why does the breathing change our mental state? I mean, we breathe without even thinking; it just happens.
Thank you. I love that question. Yeah. That gets to the heart of it. Yeah. So what we do breathe without even thinking about it, and because we do that, we don't breathe in a circular pattern. We breathe, we talk, we hold our breath unconsciously. Eventually, we get around to another breath. Mm-hmm. What that does is that means that we are bringing in a certain amount, and it's usually pretty regular for a human being. We've got our pattern down around that. So we have a certain amount of carbon dioxide and a certain amount of oxygen mixture in our brain at any given time. When we change the pattern of the breath, we change the mixture that's in our brain of carbon dioxide and oxygen. When you add even a little bit of extra oxygen to the brain, you've now created a completely different chemical environment for the synapses of thought, memory, experience to move through. So whatever you experience while you're breathing a different breath pattern allows you to see or experience something, even for example, the coolness or the warmth in a room. You'll experience it differently. A memory that comes up while you're doing this breath, you may experience it differently. So let's say when you were in 2nd grade, someone kicked you in the shin. Well, let's say they were wearing green pants. Well, all of your life, you may have completely forgotten that kick and those green pants, but it may have caused you to always be fearful of people in green pants. Because you may have anchored some little piece of the fear in there that you don't even know is there. So in the breath, you remember that incident on the playground, you remember getting kicked, and you see the green pants, and you may find yourself just laughing away because you go, oh my goodness, that's why I never like green pants. That's why I get scared or feel funny when I see somebody in green pants. It's as simple as that because our brains are so complicated. So when we change the chemical environment of the brain, we give ourselves an opportunity to let go of something we've been holding on to unconsciously.
So it's not just the breathing in itself, it's also a mindfulness.
It's the mindfulness of the breathing, because when you begin this particular pattern of breathing, it's a breath that you take completely in. The moment you get to the top of the breath, you let it out. The moment you get to the bottom, you take another breath. So as I mentioned hyperventilation before, it's not hyperventilation because we don't need to get that heavy duty. We just need to change the environment of the brain. So it really is just.
Okay, yeah, I was just gonna say, let's just do a demo because I know for viewers, and especially more people have been venturing into trying meditation and mindfulness and all these things, but some have still just seen it as something very abstract.
Yes.
So let's do a little practice here and see if we can bring it into the conversation as well, right?
Okay, beautiful.
You lead us through it?
I'll lead you through it. Let me just say, though, give a little, that this is not a particular practice. We put workshops together around this practice because we want to hold what we call sacred space for people that are having those memories.
Yeah.
You know, if you go back to the playground and you remember getting kicked and it triggers you, we want somebody there to hold your hand and tell you it's okay. Nobody's going to kick you this time. But we can experience the breath and get the idea of what it does to our mind here together.
Okay, good.
All right. So first of all, we normally, when we do this, we close our eyes because it's an internal journey. It's a journey into our memories, into our dreams, into our thoughts. And so we normally close our eyes. We open our mouth and we breathe through the mouth. A nice deep breath and then let it out. And take it in again. And if you do that about 3 or 4 times, you'll notice that you start to feel like you're floating a little bit.
Yes.
You're getting what I would call a little high.
Oxygen high.
Oxygen high. You are on an oxygen high. So we don't want to do, right? So you don't want to do it. You know what?
Can't get too relaxed.
Yeah, it's sweet, isn't it? It's sweet. That's what we do. Now what we add to that is we play evocative music underneath it. Music that evokes our primordial needs, how we get our needs met. Music that evokes how we, as in our personal selves, create our lives, how we present our lives, how we give our love or hold our love back from other people, how we communicate, how we remember things. All of the music is designed. We use a lot of film music, so music that would
trigger emotion.
Exactly. Thank you. And so we watch as facilitators, as people hear the music, breathe the breath, and take the journey.
You know, how do you market this? Marketing is a horrible word for this.
How do you get people
interested?
interested?
How do you promote this? Yes. How do you promote this? How do you create interest to somebody who would look at this and say, listen, this is just a high-class exercise, which I don't have time for. I'm busy as a mom. I'm working as a waitress, or I'm working as a taximan or a mechanic. And this is really for a rich tourist who comes to Belize. And so this is not relevant to me. And probably, I will actually reverse probably.
Yeah, first of all, we do make it very affordable. Yeah. Secondly, here in Belize, we're doing it as a fundraiser. So we've made it affordable. Back in the States, again, it's affordable, and it's not something you need to do. This is not workshop after workshop after workshop with layer after layer after layer. We don't pull you in and give you a little bit and then say, and then for a little more money, we'll give you a little bit more. You get the whole workshop when you come. And frankly, if you take the whole 2-hour workshop, you do the breath for 2 hours, you walk away with a great benefit. People walk away, they feel lighter, they feel brighter, they've let something go, they've given themselves the opportunity to either, I just want to say this, they give themselves quite often the opportunity to remember how magnificent they are. Because so many of us, when something wonderful happens to us, we say, oh my goodness, that was too good to be true. Well, what we're saying is, I'm not deserving of this. Or we say, I can't believe it happened to me, which means that you're worthy of it and you're worthy of it, but I'm not. And so for the investment that you make in one of our 2-hour workshops, you walk away with a lot, and you don't have to do this all the time. This is not a practice you have to do often. So does that?
Yeah.
Sure.
Good.
Sure.
Yeah. And being able to use this type of breath work beyond just a workshop in this isolated case. So you've talked about rhythm of change, and I know you work with schools. That's how the yoga and meditation went into the prisons and the hostels, and there's this great documentary that we did on looking at the impact there.
Beautiful. Yes.
Do you also take in the breath work so that other people, so those who are paying for the fundraiser is one thing, but those who are going to benefit from ROC's initiatives would also benefit?
As a matter of fact, tomorrow we're in the youth hostels.
Nice.
Very excited about it. And while we may or may not do integrative breath work there, we'll do pranayama there. And the difference is, I'm not sure what how long we have, how long the session is that we have with the youth.
Yeah.
And so
Pranayama is?
Pranayama is breath work, a beautiful Indian word for breath work. And we can do a little bit of that too if you want.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I want you to do, and you can do this with your eyes open or your eyes closed, but just imagine your heart center. So your heart center is here. I'm afraid I keep knocking into my microphone here. So your heart center is here. So just imagine your heart center. Take a breath in and count how long it takes you to take it in. So if it takes you 4 or 5 counts to take it in, now hold it for that same 4 or 5 counts. Release it for the same 4 or 5 counts. And then hold that beautiful empty space for 4 or 5 counts. Continue that, the same amount of counts. When you take the inhalation, draw one side of a box around your heart center, then hold the breath, then release it, draw the other side of the box, and hold it and draw the bottom of the box. So with each piece of the 4-sided breath, you're drawing a piece of this box, and you're enclosing your heart in this beautiful vessel. And you'll begin to feel either a lightness or a heaviness, a cool or a warmth around your heart. The beauty of this breath is that it lowers our blood pressure. If you go into the doctor and they put the blood pressure cuff on you and your blood pressure is very high, just ask for a moment and then begin to breathe this breath, and you'll find yourself dropping into peace. You're dropping into your heart. And it's a beautiful feeling to just be there in stillness in your heart. There you go. You can open your eyes.
Okay, yes, we're working. We're gonna get too relaxed here. How do you feel?
I feel, it makes you realize a couple of things. One, the value of stillness. Just being where you are. And it also gives you a sense of relevance. Everything else that we add on seems to be really irrelevant. And really and truly it's about living. And living starts with breathing. And so for me, I feel as though you shed off a lot of what is irrelevant.
Yes.
And that is the weightlessness that I guess you feel.
Absolutely. And you know what? That's the breath for the person that you were speaking of who doesn't have perhaps the funds to go out and take lots of different classes. It's the breath for the person who may not have the time because they have the children at home. That's the breath, and we just gave it to them.
Yeah, yeah.
Courtesy of you two lovely people.
And it makes a difference.
We were
It makes a
born with it.
significant difference. You know, I've always, I think since that we've been having these conversations, there's certain things that I noticed, like Kevin just did it, see? There's certain times where we just need an extra breath. We need a deeper breath, a cleansing breath.
Yeah.
You're worked up about something, or you're prepared to say something difficult. That's a great example. You go, okay.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
it really just shows how much we need the oxygen that we're giving our body, the breath that we're giving our body to prepare ourselves for anything hard, great, whatever. When you talk to and I love that we have you here to really be able to explain it, how can you integrate this into your everyday life? When do you take, I mean, does it have to be that I take 10 minutes every morning sitting in silence and, you know, I don't know what I'll do with the kids in that time. How do I make use of this tool in a practical sense?
That's a beautiful question. First of all, it's your breath.
Yeah.
And all you're doing is changing it. So if you just become aware of the breath in those moments that you're having either anxiety or stress, or you need to say something very important and you're taking that deep breath, you don't need necessarily 10 minutes. I think everybody should meditate, but you know, that's, you don't want to get me up on that soapbox today because there are
That takes
plenty
practice,
of wonderful people here in Belize
Yeah.
to teach you meditation. But yes, you can be mindful without having to be in a complete state of meditation. You can be mindful simply by dropping into your breath. And it doesn't even have to be a particular pattern. So you don't have to say, oh my goodness, what did she say? Did you, what, you know,
Yeah.
where was I supposed to focus and what was I supposed
Yeah.
to draw? It's really not that. It's slowing yourself down. It's the old advice that your grandmother gave you, count to 10.
Yeah.
But count to 10 and breathe. Don't count to 10 while you're holding your breath. And one of the wonderful things that you can do, and I know this is going to sound really kind of crazy, but that's why I'm here. I'm here to bring a little crazy, right? As you do these breaths, if you will breathe in and take your right hand and breathe out and bring it down on your left knee, and take your left hand and bring it down on your right knee.
Is that Tai Chi? It looks like Tai Chi.
It's very Tai Chi-like. Yes, it's crisscrossing your energies. It's taking you out of the norm for a moment and making you concentrate on something very simple that takes you out of your focus on that anger, fear, frustration, or needing to speak to somebody about something serious. And I cannot tell you why exactly that it works, but I know that it does. It also calms you. It lets you forget for just a moment what you've been focused on and start over. It's like a reboot for your brain.
And you know,
And very simple.
Yeah.
it's one of the things I wanted you to talk about in terms of, this is all scientific, this is all ancient. I mean, this is proven. So it's
Yes.
not just, you know, guesswork.
Exactly.
Breath work is actually science.
Yes, it
And
is.
mindfulness too.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. It's integrated in schools now in some of the more developed countries. It's
Yes.
just, and we do have a school here that does it as well. So I think they're seeing the benefits more and more. But there's a certain buy-in that has to happen in a country like Belize where we don't really focus as much. I mean, sometimes deep breathing is an exercise in anger management. You know, if you're talking,
Yes.
if you're doing an anger management discussion with people, one of the first things you'll talk about is kind of taking that deep breath to calm yourself. So it is recognized in
Yes, it
conflict
is.
resolution as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's the base.
Yeah.
It's the base for all of it. You're absolutely right. Breath is the first step. Because breath is what makes us conscious of our humanness, of ourselves, of where we are in the moment.
What's the target for the fundraiser? How much do you guys want to raise?
That's a great question, and you know what? I haven't asked that question of anyone. So I don't really think that we have a cap. One of the things that ROC funds is the training of yoga teachers and scholarships and so forth. And so the more we raise, the more
Better.
people we can help.
Nice. And so how can people sign up for the workshops that you're having?
The workshops, they can call Om Shanti here in Belize City, and I'm going to guess that you probably have those phone numbers showing up somewhere. I hope, because I don't have them memorized. So they can call Om Shanti and come and sign up for the workshops. We're doing not only the integrative breath work, but we mentioned that we are doing some energy healing training. We're teaching the classes in energy healing called Reiki, and we're doing that on Saturday and Sunday this week. That's a little longer workshop. Those are all-day workshops. But there you walk away with a whole technique for consciously taking care of ourselves and consciously helping to take care of our families and others.
You have some of this information on your Facebook, on the Shanti Facebook page.
Absolutely. They can learn everything there is about well-being.
Well, thank you for coming in and talking to us about the integrative breath work. And also you have your energy healing workshop coming up this weekend. But most importantly, thank you for leaving us with tools that anybody who watches today can try for themselves. And so even if they don't believe it, they can take 2 minutes and try it out for themselves.
Try it.
And they'll probably change their mind. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both.
We're going to go ahead and take our final break. And when we come back, we'll have our wrap up. So stay tuned.